the pilot is dying. You have, at most, 4 minutes left. His F-16 went down just 30 minutes ago, engine failure deep within hostile territory. He ejected at a searing 400 knots, breaking both his legs upon impact with the ground. Now, he lies incapacitated in a remote ravine, surrounded by those who seek to capture him alive, eager to post his humiliation online. Meanwhile, you're plummeting through thick clouds at 200 miles per hour, strapped to a parachute that you'll swiftly cut away at 3,000 feet. Your medical kit alone weighs a daunting 80 pounds, your rifle adds another 10. You haven't known sleep in 36 hours. Below, the air is already thick with the crackle of gunfire. The inbound rescue helicopter is taking heavy fire from multiple enemy positions, its door gunners fiercely returning volleys of their own. Tracers arc across the dark valley, a deadly ballet of angry fireflies. Somewhere amidst that escalating chaos is a man who, just 12 hours ago, was in a ready room, sipping coffee, laughing with his comrades, and grumbling about the weather. Now, that same man is bleeding out in the unforgiving dirt, his ears ringing with the chilling sounds of people hunting him down. You hit the ground running, quite literally. The instant your boots touch the earth, you're already in motion, sprinting toward the plumes of smoke, toward the distant screams, toward the man who needs you now more than he has ever needed anyone in his entire life. You cover 200 meters in under a minute, scrambling over uneven terrain, jagged rocks, and thorny scrub brush, your heavy kit bouncing relentlessly on your back. You finally find him, sheltered precariously behind a large rock. He's barely conscious, his flight suit saturated with blood. His legs are unnaturally twisted, bones visibly protruding through the torn fabric. His eyes betray the stark terror of a man certain he's about to die. "I got you, sir. I got you." You work with desperate speed, even as bullets snap dangerously close overhead. The rock offers some semblance of cover, but it's woefully inadequate. A round kicks up a spray of dirt just 3 feet from your knee. A tourniquet goes on the right leg. The left is far worse, but mercifully, the bleeding isn't arterial. You can address that once the immediate threats are stabilized. You need 4 access, but his veins have collapsed from catastrophic blood loss. Without hesitation, you go for the external jugular. Got it. Morphine. Just enough to manage the pain, but not so much that he loses consciousness. You need his cooperation. You apply quick, improvised splints to both legs, not pretty, but functional. The entire, frantic process takes a mere 3 minutes, yet it feels like an eternity, like 3 hours. We're moving. This is going to hurt. You begin to drag him toward the waiting helicopter, a staggering 400 pounds of pilot in gear, uphill and under relentless fire. Your legs are screaming in protest, your lungs burning for air, but you do not stop. The crew chief spots you coming. He leaps from the bird, running toward you, grabbing the pilot's harness. You push from below, he pulls from above. The pilot screams in agony as his broken legs scrape against the helicopter's deck. He's in. You're the last one aboard, rounds still pinging off the fuselage as the bird lifts off. The door gunner continues his covering fire. The engine strains, then you're clear, climbing rapidly, the gunfire fading into the distance behind you. 22 hours later, that pilot will call his wife from a hospital bed in Germany. He'll cry, and she'll cry with him. He'll tell her about the nameless man who descended through the clouds, the one who dragged him to safety while bullets filled the air. They will both be alive because you exist. But you won't be there for that call. You'll be fast asleep on a cot somewhere, resting, steeling yourself for the next mission. You will never hear his voice again. This is the job. Most special operations forces exist to kill people. That's not a judgment, it's a stark fact. Delta Force kicks down doors and eliminates high-value targets. SEALs conduct surgical direct action raids. Marine raiders assault heavily fortified enemy positions. They are the sword, sharp and deadly. Pararescue jumpers, or PJs, are different. They are the Air Force Special Operations warriors in the Maroon Berets. Their entire existence revolves around one singular objective: saving lives. Their motto, "that others may live," isn't some clever slogan dreamed up for a recruitment poster. It is their job description. It is a sacred promise. It is the fundamental reason their unit exists. Every PJ is a fully fledged special operator, possessing complete combat capability, weapons proficiency, advanced tactics, expert parachuting, and diving skills, all of it. But their mission diverges fundamentally. Their mission is rescue. When a pilot goes down behind enemy lines, PJs go to extract him. When an operator takes a round and needs complex trauma surgery in a remote mud hut, PJs provide it. When a helicopter crashes, everyone is injured, and the enemy is closing in, PJs are the ones who figure out how to get everyone home safely. That's their job. That's their only job. So, who becomes a PJ? Not the ones who crave fame or recognition. There are no blockbuster movies about PJs, no lucrative book deals. Most often, no one will ever know your name. It's the individuals who, without a second thought, jump into the water when they see someone drowning. It's the EMTs who yearn to do more than simply drive patients to hospitals. It's the lifeguards who grew bored with the predictability of pools and longed for the vast, unpredictable oceans. It's people who simply cannot bear the thought of someone dying when they possess the ability to intervene and save them. Perhaps you stumble upon a documentary, a recruitment video on YouTube, or a Reddit thread discussing special operations career paths, pararescue, combat search and rescue, Air Force special operations. They jump out of planes. They dive to the ocean floor. They shoot back when shot at. But, above all, their mission is saving people. The more you read, the more it resonates, feeling like home. Like you've finally discovered the very purpose you were destined for. You pick up the phone and call a recruiter. He tells you the unvarnished truth: a 2-year training pipeline, the longest in the entire U.S. military, even longer than SEAL or Delta Force training. An 80% washout rate, perhaps even higher. Most who attempt it simply don't make the cut. Physically, it will be the hardest thing you've ever endured in your life. Mentally, it's even more grueling. You tell your family, they don't quite grasp it. 2 years of training, for the Air Force? You tell your friends, they think you're absolutely insane. An 80% washout rate? Why would anyone do that? You can't adequately explain it. The irresistible pull. The innate need to be the one who helps. The profound inability to stand by idly while someone desperately needs saving. You sign up anyway. The Pararescue Indoctrination Course, or INDOC, is 9 brutal weeks at Lackland Air Force Base. It's less a training program and more a filter. They aren't trying to train you yet, they're trying to break you. They are relentlessly searching to discover who will quit and who possesses an indomitable spirit. They don't want just the strongest, they want the unbreakable. Week 1 is a shock to the system. Wake up at 5 a.m., collapse exhausted at 10 p.m. Every single minute in between is pure pain. Running miles upon endless miles, in heavy boots, through soft sand, in heat that makes the very air shimmer around you. Swimming, not leisurely laps in a pool, but timed ocean swims. Fall behind, and you do it again. Calisthenics, push-ups until your arms scream and give out, then more push-ups. Carrying boats over your head, not metaphorically, but actual, inflatable boats weighing hundreds of pounds. You and 7 other candidates, running down a beach, holding a boat high above your heads, instructors screaming relentless abuse. Sand is everywhere, in your eyes, in your mouth, in places sand shouldn't physically be able to reach. Guys quit on day 2. Day 3. Every single day, someone walks up to the infamous bell and rings it. That sound signifies they're done. They're out. They're returning to the regular Air Force. No one stops them. No one argues. They simply vanish. The pool is where the majority break. They call it water confidence training, but it's effectively controlled drowning. And that, too, is not a metaphor. You're in the deep end. Instructors approach from behind. They flip you upside down. They rip off your mask. They tie your hands. You are forced to solve complex problems while your lungs are screaming for air. Fix your mask, untangle yourself, surface properly. Panic, and you're done. Not just failed, but finished. Some candidates black out. Safety divers pull them to the surface, where they wake up, coughing violently on the pool deck. Most of them walk straight to that bell. Extended training days stretch to 20 hours, sometimes even longer. You might run 6 miles, swim 2 miles, and then, as a team, carry a 200-pound log for miles. Every single evolution is timed. Fall behind, and you're rolled, meaning you repeat the entire week, or you're removed from the pipeline entirely. You might get 4 hours of sleep, if you're lucky, if the instructors deem you've earned it. Then there's buddy breathing, 1 mask, 2 people, 20 feet underwater. You and a near stranger share precious air while instructors relentlessly harass you. You take turns breathing, passing the regulator back and forth. This is where unbreakable trust is forged. You literally breathe for each other. His air becomes your air becomes his air. If he panics, you both might drown. If you panic, the same fate awaits. You learn to trust implicitly, to remain calm under unimaginable stress, to share your very breath. The attrition rate is staggering. You might start with 100 candidates. By the end of Indoc, you're down to a mere 15, perhaps just 10. The guys who quit aren't weak, some were Division I athletes, some were combat veterans from other branches of the military. Some were the fittest, most capable people you'd ever encountered. They simply weren't PJs. You survived. You made it through. But this was only phase 1. Now, the real training begins. Indoctrination was just the entrance exam. Now, you actually learn how to do the job. Combat Dive School. 10 weeks in Panama City, Florida. You arrive knowing how to swim. You leave knowing how to operate underwater in ways most people can't even imagine. You master open-circuit scuba, the basics, with bubbles rising visibly to the surface. Then, closed-circuit rebreathers, which produce no bubbles, no signature. No one knows you're even there. Underwater navigation, finding a target in zero visibility using only a compass and a precise kick count. Swimming a mile underwater and surfacing within feet of your intended destination. Drum-proofing, your hands are tied behind your back, your feet bound together. They throw you into the deep end. Survive. Bob to the surface. Grab a quick breath of air. Sink back down. Repeat this horrifying cycle for minutes that stretch into what feels like hours. You conquer competencies that make Indoc look easy, solving complex problems, fixing equipment, all while your lungs burn and your body screams. Army Airborne School. 3 weeks at Fort Benning. Here, you learn the fundamental skill of jumping out of planes. Static line jumps from 1,250 feet, where the parachute opens automatically. 5 jumps minimum, and you earn your coveted jump wings. This phase is considered the easy one, almost a vacation compared to the preceding trials. You see regular Army soldiers around you struggling with tasks you mastered months ago. You help them, the guys paralyzed by a fear of heights, the ones who freeze in the aircraft door. You don't brag, you simply offer assistance. That ethos is steadily becoming an intrinsic part of who you are. The jump itself is pure, exhilarating joy. The rush of the wind, the satisfying snap of the canopy opening, the quiet, serene drift back to earth. For a few brief minutes, all the pain and struggle of training disappear. You're simply flying. Military Freefall School. 5 weeks. Now, you jump for real. Halo, high altitude, low opening. You exit the aircraft at 25,000 feet and open your parachute at a mere 3,000 feet. Ha-ho, high altitude, high opening. You exit at 25,000 feet and open immediately, gliding for miles across vast distances. You freefall for 2 minutes through thin, freezing air that numbs your face. An oxygen mask is mandatory because there simply isn't enough air to breathe. You navigate precisely to a tiny drop zone miles from your exit point, landing softly enough to immediately engage in combat if necessary. SEER School. 3 weeks. This is the darkest, most psychologically brutal part of your training. Survival. Evasion. Resistance. Escape. The first phase is survival. They drop you deep in the wilderness with absolutely nothing, maybe a knife, and the clothes on your back. You learn to locate water, construct shelter, build fire, and catch food. These are the primitive skills that keep you alive when everything else has failed. Then comes the evasion phase. They hunt you. Highly trained tracker teams relentlessly pursue your trail, sometimes with dogs, sometimes with helicopters. You move under the cover of night, hide during the day, meticulously cover your tracks, and do everything to avoid contact. Eventually, they catch you. Everyone gets caught, that's the central point of this phase. The resistance phase is the hardest. You endure simulated interrogation. Stress positions that make your muscles scream in agony. Sleep deprivation so extreme it causes hallucinations. They are allowed to inflict actual pain, not permanently damaging, but designed to feel incredibly real. They can and will break you mentally if you allow them to. You learn to resist, to give nothing away, to hold on when every fiber of your being screams to give up. You learn that everyone breaks eventually. The goal isn't to never break, the goal is to break slowly. To yield nothing important. To buy precious time, because PJs sometimes do get captured behind enemy lines, alone, far from any hope of immediate help. When that happens, you need to know how to survive until rescue comes, or until you can engineer your own escape. Paramedic training. 6 months. You earn your National Registry Paramedic certification, the same certification civilian paramedics possess, but with an extensive additional layer of combat-specific knowledge. Trauma medicine, surgical airways, chest tubes, blood transfusions administered directly in the field. You learn to perform procedures in a mud hut, in the dark, under enemy fire, that most doctors require a fully equipped emergency room for. You train on live tissue pigs and goats, animals that are already slated for euthanasia. You practice surgical procedures on them because those are the very scenarios you will face in the field. It sounds brutal. It is brutal. But the alternative is practicing on humans for the very first time when someone's life hangs precariously in the balance. You learn to establish surgical airways, to cut into a trachea and insert a tube so someone can breathe. You learn to decompress a tension pneumothorax, to stick a needle into someone's chest to release the trapped air that's crushing their lung. You learn to perform field thoracotomies, to literally crack open a chest in the middle of nowhere because a heart has stopped, and it's the only slim chance. Most paramedics will never perform these extreme procedures. You'll do them in the dark, under fire, with no backup and absolutely no second chances. The training is intense, emotionally draining. Some days, you question why you're putting yourself through this. Then, you force yourself to imagine the pilot bleeding out in a ravine, the soldier trapped beneath a collapsed vehicle, the operator with shrapnel perforating his chest. You're doing this for them. For the people you haven't even met yet, the lives you haven't saved yet. The PJ Apprentice Course. 6 months at Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico. This is where everything finally converges. Tactical combat casualty care, how to treat catastrophic trauma while people are actively shooting at you. Weapons and small unit tactics, reminding you that you are a special operator first and foremost, not just a medic. Mountain rescue, involving technical rock climbing, grappling, and high-angle extractions. Water rescue, encompassing swift water environments and the vast, unpredictable open ocean, anything involving water and someone in dire need of help. Urban rescue, dealing with collapsed buildings and confined spaces. The final evaluation is a grueling, week-long exercise where everything imaginable goes wrong, mass casualties, unforeseen complications, utter chaos. You handle all of it, methodically, effectively. The graduation ceremony is remarkably quiet. There's no parade, no grand speeches, no cheering crowds. Just a small room, your class, the instructors, and a few senior PJs who have come to welcome the new cohort. They hand you a maroon beret, the sacred symbol of the PJ community, the very object you've been striving for over 2 arduous years. You place it on your head. It feels heavier than it should, because you intimately understand what it represents. You know the profound history. You know the names carved onto memorials. 2 years. 24 months. From an initial 100 candidates, you are one of perhaps 8 graduates. You are now one of roughly 500 active duty PJs in existence. 500 people on the entire planet who possess your unique skill set. Think about that, 500 individuals in a military numbering over 1 million, in a country of 330 million. You are rare. You are truly elite. You are the last hope for people experiencing the absolute worst moment of their lives. The senior PJ who pinned your beret looks you directly in the eye and says, "Now you prove you deserve it." No celebration. No victory lap. You ship out to your first unit next week. The elite of the elite. And you haven't even saved anyone yet. That starts now. You're assigned to a rescue squadron, deeply embedded with Special Operations Forces. Your team comprises other PJs, combat rescue officers, and specialized helicopter crews, all meticulously trained for this precise mission. You train constantly with everyone, the Night Stalkers, Delta, SEALs, the units that officially don't exist. They are the door kickers, the trigger pullers, the sharp end of the spear. You are the man who puts them back together when the door inevitably kicks back. You are present on every major operation, not to kill, but to save. When they plan a raid, you're in the briefing room. When they execute, you're on the helicopter. When someone goes down, you're always the first one there. Your loadout is distinctly different from everyone else's. You carry a rifle, a pistol, night vision goggles, body armor, all standard operator kit. But in addition, you bear an 80-pound medical rucksack, filled with blood products that must remain cold, surgical tools that must remain sterile, and drugs that must remain meticulously organized. You are simultaneously a fighter, a trauma surgeon, a mountaineer, and a diver, all at once, all the time. No one else carries what you carry. No one else can do what you do. The respect you command is genuine and profound. Operators don't easily grant their trust, they've witnessed too much, been burned too many times. But they trust PJs implicitly because they've seen PJs in action, under fire, on the very worst day of someone's life, hands steady, voice calm, getting the impossible done while the world crumbles around them. When a shooter goes down, he's not calling for another shooter. He's calling for you. You see it in their faces the moment you arrive: relief. Hope. The instant they realize that someone capable of helping is finally there. That's the best part of the job. That singular moment. The profound shift from utter despair to burgeoning hope. The dawning realization that, perhaps, they are going to make it after all. You live for that moment. But you also know, with a heavy heart, that not every story ends well. Some wounds are simply too grievous. Some situations are genuinely impossible. You do your absolute best, and sometimes, even your best isn't enough. The experienced PJs warn you, the losses will come. The faces you couldn't save will haunt your waking and sleeping hours. You think you understand. You don't. Not yet. The call shatters the midnight quiet. An alarm. A patrol hit an IED 3 hours ago. 2 urgent surgical patients. Medevac can't make it in time. Too far. Too dangerous. The landing zone is hot, still contested. You're going. The helicopter screams across the desert, a mere 10 minutes to target. You quickly prep your kit, meticulously check your supplies, visualize the unfolding scene. You've done this together dozens of times. No words are needed. The scene is utter chaos, a vehicle engulfed in flames, bodies scattered around it, soldiers still taking cover behind rocks, returning fire. 2 soldiers are barely alive. One has shrapnel wounds to his abdomen, the blast propelled fragments through his body armor. He's bleeding internally, you can already see his belly distending ominously. The other has lost a leg below the knee. A tourniquet is already applied, expertly, by a guy with no formal medical training, just raw instinct. That soldier saved his buddy's life before you even got there. You don't think, you act. 2 years of relentless training take over. Primary survey, airway, breathing, circulation. The abdominal wound desperately needs surgery, something you simply cannot perform in a dirt field. You stabilize him, for fluids wide open, a pressure dressing, pain management. Your goal is to keep him alive until you can get him to someone who can fix him. The amputee is stable but profoundly in shock. The tourniquet is good. You administer blood products, warmth, and quiet reassurance. You're doing great, man. We're getting you out of here. He nods, unable to speak, but he hears you. You call ahead to the waiting surgical team, 2 urgent incoming. 1 surgical abdomen, probable liver laceration. 1 traumatic amputation, right leg below the knee, hemodynamically stable. ETA 15 minutes. The helicopter lifts off. You work tirelessly the entire way, monitoring, adjusting, relentlessly keeping them alive. Both survive. Both go home to their families. A week later, the amputee sends a message through the chaplain. You don't quite know what to do with such gratitude. You were just doing your job, after all. But you save the message. You place it in a special folder with the others, the letters, the photos, the tangible proof that what you do truly matters. Over the years, that folder grows thicker. Letters from mothers thanking you for saving their sons. Photos of weddings where the groom is walking down the aisle because you got him to surgery in time. Christmas cards from families that are still complete because of your intervention. On the bad days, the crushing days, you open that folder. You remind yourself why you endure. You also possess another folder, a mental one. It contains the faces of the ones you couldn't save. You don't speak about that one, but it is always there, an ever-present shadow. This is the hardest section, the one that ultimately defines you. The mission seems straightforward, a downed pilot, deep in hostile territory. His beacon is active, he's alive. You're inserted by helicopter, dropped 3 miles from his position because the landing zone is too hot, too dangerous. A grueling 3-mile hike through enemy territory, at night, burdened by 100 pounds of gear. By the time you find him, he's been on the ground for 6 agonizing hours. He's conscious, even talking, making dark jokes. But you see the wounds, shrapnel to the chest. He caught fragments from his own ejection seat. His lung is collapsed. He's breathing, but barely. There's internal bleeding that you simply cannot stop, not with the limited resources you have, not out here. He knows. They always know. Those who have brushed with death can sense its approach. You do everything within your power, chest decompression, a needle precisely inserted into his chest to release the crushing pressure. 4 fluids wide open. Blood products, if only you had them, but you ran out on the long hike in. You call for immediate extraction, urgent surgical. We need to move now. The helicopter is 20 minutes out, taking fire, struggling to reach your position. You don't have 20 minutes. You both know it. He begins to speak about his family. His wife, Sarah. His daughter, Emma. She's 6. You listen, your hands still working frantically, desperately. You tell him he's going to be fine, that he's going to tell them himself. He knows you're lying. But he talks anyway. Tell her I wasn't scared. Tell my daughter I was thinking about her. Tell Sarah it wasn't her fault that we fought before I left. You memorize every word, every excruciating detail. His vitals begin to crash. Blood pressure dropping. Heart rate climbing, then falling. You work anyway. Chest compressions, drugs, every intervention you have left. He dies in that desolate ravine, 10,000 miles from home, surrounded by rocks, scrub brush, and the distant, fading sound of gunfire. The helicopter arrives 3 minutes later. 3 minutes too late. You carry his lifeless body to the bird. You ride back in a profound, heavy silence. You write the report. Clinical, professional, emotionless. Date. Time. Patient presentation. Interventions attempted. Time of death. Then, you sit in a quiet corner of the base and cry for the first time since you were a child. The truth is this, you cannot save everyone. Some wounds are simply too severe. Some distances are too vast. Some situations are genuinely impossible. You will carry his face forever. You will carry all their faces, the ones you saved, and the ones you didn't. But you will go back out the next night, on the next mission. Because if you don't, more faces will inevitably join the tragic list. Because that is what it truly means to be a PJ. The next mission. The next life that needs saving. The next person who is having the worst moment of their existence. You cannot bring back the ones you've lost, but you can save the next one. That's the solemn deal you make with yourself. That's how you keep going. One more. Save one more, then save another. The weight of it all never truly gets lighter, but you get stronger. You learn how to carry it. Some PJs eventually break. The accumulated weight becomes too much to bear. They leave the community, transitioning to other jobs, attempting to become normal again. There is no shame in that. Everyone has their limits. The PJ pipeline doesn't select for immortality, only for an extraordinary capacity for endurance. But you keep going. Not because you're inherently stronger than them, but simply because you're not done yet. With every deployment, you wonder if this will be your last. If your body will finally give out. If your mind will finally scream, enough. Yet, every single time, you find a reason to go back. The guys counting on you. The mission waiting. The next life that desperately needs saving. You don't know when it will end. You don't know what comes after. You just know that today, you are a PJ. Today, someone might need you. Today, you might save a life. And for today, that is enough. That is enough. The scenario unfolding before you is nothing short of impossible. A special operations team, cornered and outmatched, is pinned down in a brutal mountain environment. Winter has set in, and enemy forces press in from 3 directions. 6 grueling hours they've held their ground, but their ammunition is dangerously low. 2 of their own are wounded, 1 critically. A helicopter extraction is out of the question, the terrain is too treacherous, the enemy fire too relentless. There's only one option: someone has to brave the blizzard and trek on foot through hostile territory. Without hesitation, you step forward. It's just you and 1 other PJ. That's the entire extraction team. This isn't just a jump, it's a high altitude, high opening, HAHO, insertion. You exit the aircraft at a dizzying 25,000 feet, deploying your parachute almost instantly. For a perilous 15 miles, you glide through the pitch-black night, navigating solely by compass and GPS amidst a raging storm. The designated landing zone is a snow-covered expanse, barely the size of a football field, nestled precariously among towering mountains. In the dead of night, with a blizzard reducing visibility to mere feet, you touch down, barely. Your partner lands 100 yards distant, a phantom in the snow. You quickly link up, a silent, practiced reunion. A quick radio check confirms you're good to go. The next phase is a grueling 6-mile trek across unforgiving, vertical terrain, through waist-deep snow. 4 hours of relentless movement, each step a battle against the silent, freezing cold. Your feet lose all feeling within the first hour, but stopping is not an option. Soon, the muffled roar of the firefight reaches you, long before the chaos becomes visible. The sharp crack of rifles, the concussive thump of grenades, the sounds grow louder. You finally spot them, the team, huddled in a ravine, desperately using rocks as their only cover. Muzzle flashes erupt all around them, illuminating the stark reality: they are completely surrounded. You and your partner approach stealthily from the rear, each movement careful, quiet, almost imperceptible. A hushed radio transmission establishes friendly contact, PJ inbound from the north. Don't shoot. The moment you reach them, treatment begins. One operator has a clean through-and-through wound to the shoulder, painful, but stable. You quickly dress it, a silent promise that he will live. Then you assess the second casualty, a grim belly wound. This one is bad. His intestines are alarmingly visible, held in place only by his trembling hands. You operate there in the snow, under relentless fire, illuminated solely by your headlamp. Your partner, a steadfast guardian, provides security, returning suppressive fire whenever necessary. The abdominal wound is clearly beyond any field repair. You do everything humanly possible, carefully cover the exposed bowel, administer 4 fluids, broad-spectrum antibiotics, and aggressive pain management. Your sole mission is to keep him alive. Then, as if a miracle, the storm momentarily clears just enough to offer a fragile window. The helicopter, a beacon of hope, begins its perilous approach. It's a hoist extraction, a meticulous dance of life and death, one by one. First, the uninjured operators are lifted. Then, the wounded. It's your standard operating procedure, your unbreakable rule: the PJ always goes out last. As you ascend, dangling precariously from the cable, spinning wildly in the wind, the bird takes heavy fire. Bullets snap past, alarmingly close. But you make it. The door clangs shut. The helicopter pitches upward, climbing out of the hellish valley. The crew chief turns, his eyes meeting yours. You're a grotesque canvas of blood, none of it your own, mixed with sweat, melted snow, and the grim reality of someone else's insides. You good? He asks. You offer a weak nod. But you're not good. You're utterly exhausted, bone-deep frozen, and the potent cocktail of adrenaline that has sustained you for hours is now beginning its inevitable, brutal crash. Yet, you are alive. And more importantly, everyone is alive. That, in this moment, is all that truly matters. The flight back to base stretches for another grueling hour. For the entire duration of the flight, you remain relentlessly engaged, meticulously monitoring the wounded, adjusting 4 fluids, and doing everything necessary to keep them stable for the waiting surgeons. Finally, you land at the field hospital. The trauma team, a blur of motion and grim determination, is already there, poised to take over. You watch as your patients, your responsibility, disappear through the doors. Only then, with the weight of the mission momentarily lifted, do you sink onto the tarmac, amidst the snow, and simply breathe. Your partner settles beside you, no words exchanged. None are needed. You remain there for perhaps 10 minutes, maybe longer, allowing the shock to recede. Then, you rise, make your way to the debriefing, and begin the arduous task of writing the report. Both of the wounded operators survive. The man with the severe abdominal wound, the evisceration guy, endures a grueling 6-month recovery, multiple surgeries, and battles infections that nearly claim his life on 2 separate occasions. But he walks again. A year later, a photo arrives. It's him, radiant at his daughter's wedding, standing, even dancing. You carefully place the picture in your locker, alongside all the others. These are the tangible rewards of a life dedicated to service, years marked by dozens of deployments, hundreds of missions. You have saved lives. You have also lost lives. And you carry the indelible weight of both. Your body, once a finely tuned instrument, is now ravaged. Your knees are shot, destroyed by hundreds of jarring parachute landings and thousands of miles spent running across unforgiving terrain with heavy gear. Your back is a constant ache, broken by the endless exertion of carrying casualties uphill and lifting stretchers. This is the cumulative weight of years of brutal service. Your hearing is irrevocably damaged, a constant legacy of helicopter noise, relentless gunfire, and concussive explosions. The incessant ringing in your ears never truly stops. You are only 35, yet your body feels like that of a 50 or even 60-year-old. Your mind, too, carries an immense, unseen weight. Faces. All the faces. The vivid memories of those you saved, and the haunting specters of those you couldn't. You still dream about the pilot bleeding out in that ravine, about his daughter you never met, and about the devastating message you were forced to deliver to his wife. Therapy offers some solace. Talking helps, especially within the tight-knit PJ community, which understands these burdens in ways no one else ever truly can. But the weight of it all never fully lifts. It simply becomes an inextricable part of who you are. Your personal relationships are inevitably complicated. Your marriage, in particular, is constantly strained. You are gone, perpetually. Deployments stretch for months at a time, followed by weeks of demanding training. Your wife tries valiantly to understand. She believes she knew what she was signing up for, or at least, she thought she did. But the harsh reality has proven far more challenging than either of you ever anticipated. When you are home, you are subtly, yet profoundly, different. You are quieter, more distant, lost in thoughts about things you can't explain, can't share, and perhaps shouldn't share. When she asks about your day, you can't tell her about the IED blast, the traumatic amputation you witnessed, or the face of a kid, barely 19, who died holding your hand. Instead, you simply reply, "Fine." You quickly change the subject. And with each unanswered question, each unspoken truth, the distance between you grows a little wider. Some PJ marriages endure, forged in the crucible of this unique life, but many do not. The divorce rate within the special operations community is notoriously brutal. You fight desperately not to become another statistic. Your children understand that you disappear, but they don't grasp where you go, or the dangers you face. They only know that dad's job is important, that dad helps people. You miss countless birthdays, school plays, soccer games, all the irreplaceable moments that stitch together the fabric of a childhood. You are present when you physically can be, and you strive to make every moment count. But deep down, you know they are growing up with an absent father, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, you can do to change that reality. Maintaining friendships outside the PJ community becomes increasingly difficult. When they ask about your work, you can't answer truthfully, or even partially. They speak of their everyday problems, office politics, frustrating traffic jams, and you genuinely try to care. You remember a time when those things mattered to you. But now, after all you've seen and endured, they seem so incredibly trivial, so distant. You simply can't relate anymore. Your true friends become the other PJs. They are the guys who truly understand, who have witnessed the same horrors you've seen, who carry the same invisible burdens you carry. The question, an insidious whisper that sometimes surfaces, is, was it worth it? You reflect on every single person who made it home, who lived another day, another year, because you were there. The pilot who lived to watch his daughter graduate. The operator who was able to walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. The young soldier who made that life-affirming call to his mom from the hospital. And the answer echoes, clear and resonant, yes. 1,000 times, yes, it was worth it. Eventually, the time comes for you to transition out of active duty. You move into training staff and instructor roles. Your body, ultimately, made the decision for you, one too many injuries, one too many surgeries. Now, you stand on the sidelines, watching new candidates struggle through the punishing pool sessions. You remember vividly being that scared, yet equally determined recruit. Some of them, you can tell, possess what it takes. You can usually identify them by the end of the first grueling week. The PJ community is remarkably small, perhaps only 500 active duty members at any given time. You know most of them, not just by name, but by their stories, their triumphs, and their tragedies. When one falls, you all feel the profound loss. When one succeeds, you all celebrate with genuine pride. The maroon beret you wear is more than just headgear, it signifies something profound, recognized and respected everywhere in the world. Sometimes, at an airport, another veteran will spot your beret. A quiet nod. Maybe a simple, heartfelt thanks for what you do. They don't know the specific details, the harrowing missions, or the personal cost, but they know enough. They understand that the maroon beret is not bestowed lightly, they grasp what it takes to earn such an honor. PJs have served with distinction in every conflict since Vietnam, braving the oppressive jungles, the scorching deserts, and the unforgiving mountains, every war America has ever fought. Their ranks boast Medal of Honor recipients, distinguished flying crosses, silver stars. The walls of your community's hallowed halls are adorned with countless recognitions of valor. But the true legacy, the profound impact, isn't found in medals. No one dedicates their life to becoming a PJ for the promise of accolades. The real legacy is lives. The thousands of people who made it home, who got another chance, simply because a PJ was there. The pilots rescued from deep behind enemy lines. The soldiers pulled from burning vehicles. The operators stabilized in the most impossible, hellish conditions. Each of them has a family waiting. Children, grandchildren, perhaps even great-grandchildren, entire family lines that continue to flourish because a PJ showed up at the worst possible moment and achieved the impossible. You ponder this sometimes, the immense ripple effect. All the lives that exist, all the laughter and love that spread, simply because you saved their father, their brother, their son. It's a weight too vast, too profound to fully comprehend. So, you don't try. You simply refocus, always, on the next one. That others may live. It's not about you. It never was. It's about the pilot bleeding out in a remote ravine. It's about the operator with shrapnel tearing through his gut. It's about the young soldier whose only wish is to see his family again. You didn't become a PJ for glory or recognition. You became one to save lives. And you did, over and over again, until your body, broken and battered, simply couldn't anymore. Now, you pass it on. The invaluable skills, the indomitable mindset, the sacred mission, you pass it all on. The next generation of PJs will save lives you'll never know about, and they will carry the faces of people you will never see. But they will carry the exact same mission, the very same unwavering promise, that others may live. You live that creed every single day. And yes, unequivocally, it was worth it. Every punishing early morning. Every impossible swim. Every grueling pool session where you genuinely thought you might drown. Every deployment. Every harrowing mission. Every face you now carry in your memory. Every moment of crippling doubt. Every surge of overwhelming fear. Every agonizing moment where you wanted to quit, but didn't. All of it. Worth it. Because somewhere out there, right now, at this very moment, someone is alive because of you. A pilot is soaring through the skies on new missions. A soldier is raising his children, teaching them to ride bikes. An operator, once gravely wounded, proudly walked his daughter down the aisle. They are living their lives, fully and vibrantly, because you chose this path. Because you were willing to endure unimaginable suffering and risk everything, so they wouldn't have to. That is the legacy, that others may live. It's not merely a slogan, but a solemn, sacred promise. A promise you honored every single day, on every single mission. Every time you plummeted from the sky in a jump, or plunged into the depths of the ocean, or ran headlong towards the sound of gunfire instead of away from it, you kept that promise. That others may live. And they did. Because of you. And for a pararescueman, that is everything.